cosa, Licha. Omar Jr. es mi bebé también. Yo tengo derecho sobre la vida de mi hijo aún en la condición en la que se encuentra. Yo sé que no está bien. Yo sé cuánto te duele llevarlo así, pero tenemos que tener fe. Con el amor de Jesús se puede hacer todo.
Yo tenía fe.
Oraremos por un milagro, vieja. Oraremos cada noche, cada día. Le hablaremos hasta la saciedad, hasta que esté más que harto de nosotros. Tenemos que seguir adelante.
Ya tengo mi milagro.
Yo le haría caso si yo fuera usted, señora.
Le conté al oficial Montoya lo que hemos pasado.
Señora, mi tío era mayordomo en los campos para una de las compañías grandes en el San Joaquín. Se ponía la máscara y traje cada temporada y rocía las químicas al suelo. Era parte de su trabajo. Conocía los peligros y sabía qué tan tóxicas eran, pero créeme que tomaba todas las precauciones. Rocía de noche cuando todos estaban adentro durmiendo y siempre terminaba antes de que empezara la escuela para que los niños no lo respiraran.
¿Dónde está él ahora?
Pues se murió el año pasado. Cáncer del tiroides. Dios lo bendiga.
¿No me dijiste eso?
No me preguntaste. No fue relacionado si es lo que estás pensando.
¿Cómo sabe?
Pues llevaba la máscara. ¿Cuál es la probabilidad, verdad?
1 entre 100,000. ¡Ah! Tienes que sacar a todos para afuera. ¡Ay!
No te voy a dejar aquí. Vamos a casa, cariño.
No, Omar, ya no hay que. No me toques. Que nadie me toque.
Señora Sandoval, voy a conseguirte ayuda.
¿Para qué? ¿Que no ven? Es demasiado tarde, babosos.
Alicia, por favor, déjanos ayudarte.
Lo siento, pensé que fue culpable.
Sí, somos. Todos somos.
Licha, dame la mano. Ya se acabó.
¡Ay, hombre! ¿No puedes ver?
Ay.
No es tu bebé.
Le
Le pertenece a Tolón. Es hijo de Methyl Bromide. Esto es el milagro odioso de mi vida. El milagro dentro de mí, saliendo ahora por el dulce aire de Dios. La semilla química de Dow me encuentra, me entra, me hace su esposa. Siembra su muerte dentro de mí. Y convierte a mi bebé en algo diferente, algo como la pinche fruta que crece alrededor de nosotros, tan verde y madura y fértil. Mientras que nosotros enfermos y el aire oliendo de guerra dentro de mí. Un milagro que Dios nunca podría prever. Un milagro hecho de mí, Omar, y el señor Dow. El pinche señor Dow. Allí viene. Lo puedo sentir, un tumor con ojos y dedos. Un corazón de fresa. Mi nematodo. Listo para la luz. Quiere salir. Un milagro de telón y límites. Y estos bebés perfectos salen del suelo. Su jugo tan aguado como la sangre en mi vientre. El milagro. El milagro de nuestros días. Los milagros de Oxnard, Salinas, Fresno, Watsonville, Santa Cruz. Así pasa. No es culpa de los productores. No es culpa de Dow, sino nuestra culpa por estar ahí, por respirar y hablar ahí. Así que pedimos perdón. Por favor, pedimos perdón el pecado de ser. Y deja que venga el milagro.
Alicia. ¿Estás bien?
Sí, estoy bien.
Creo que todavía podríamos ir a esa cena con el señor Tang.
Richard, yo voy a la casa. Tú tienes un cuchillazo.
Oh, sí.
Es el señor Fine.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going.
Hechos del artículo y del reportaje y también de la obra. Entonces ya los actores van a cambiar y luego vamos a regresar y hablar.
De acuerdo. Hi.
That the play is based on. We're just really happy to be back here in Oxnard and sort of and tell the story in a different way. So this is Jenna.
Hi, Jenna.
Jenna is the director of the play. And so we're just here to answer any sort of your questions or hear kind of what you thought as people who live here. But Jenna, I don't know if you want to talk about what it was like to sort of just work on the story like that.
So originally when Storyworks is a collaboration between Tides Theater and the Center for Investigative Reporting, and we create theater out of their investigative journalism. And this is actually our fifth play, fourth production, and the first time we've ever traveled outside of the theater in San Francisco. So it's a really incredible experience to be able to develop this play based on such a 15-month, would you say, a 15-month investigation. To be able to take such incredible journalism and turn it into a piece of art. We commissioned Octavio Solis to write the play. He had 1 month to write it, so we do what we call an immediate artistic response to work that's being done with CIR. And so an immediate for a playwright that's about as fast as a playwright could possibly write a play that's going to be produced. I mean, we did, he had 4 weeks with the material to absorb this intense investigation and then write the play. And then while he was writing it, I kind of said, well, we need to tour it. Actually, I said, we need to tour it. We want to take it to Oxnard and Salinas at no more than 5 characters. And so a couple weeks into the process, I said, do you have your characters yet? Because I'd like to start casting. And that was pretty awesome because he was like, are you kidding? And I said, no, I'm not kidding at all. He goes, well, then I want Sarita, if we could get Sarita. Who's right there.
Good.
And I obviously knew Brandon, well, Brandon and I had worked together, so we kind of put our cast together based on the needs of the play and also the people who were just great for, the parts, to work on the parts that we liked working with. So that's what we did, and we rehearsed for 4 weeks, and then we did our run in San Francisco. One of the most important things is that these actors needed to be able to do this piece in Spanish as well. So as you can see, Brandon translated it, and
With lots of help.
Yeah, with lots of help in it.
That was beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
It was pretty amazing. I got to watch a lot of the rehearsals, and so there's all this time spent on English and getting the play up and going, and then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, they're having to try to do the whole thing in just a whole other language. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we started the project. And then I came down to Oxnard with Cole. Where are you, Cole? Oh, there you are. And we've been working on getting to know the people of Oxnard, and we worked with Rio Mesa High School and did a similar project with them, and several of the students performed their pieces earlier today. So that's how we got here.
So what kind of questions, any sort of questions or comments or responses for you?
Just after experiencing this play a second time, I just want to say that
even though you were just sitting there, it's so captivating, just the dialogue alone, and it actually like inspired me because I do like filmmaking, and like I was sketching on my pad, and like you like inspired me to like, for example, I drew this baby with like a strawberry on his face to like represent a tumor.
Nice.
And I drew also the sketch of this doctor pulling out like a strawberry, representing like a heart, you know? So, you guys are awesome.
So an artistic response to our...
Yeah, I love it. We want to see it.
It better be good.
I'll play it. I'll play it.
This town is 109 years old, and a city council, a white city council guy that's now the mayor, once infamously, a slip of the tongue, said it's run like a plantation. Well, this is not a slip of the tongue by a Mexican. It is run by like a plantation. And so the agribusiness completely controls this city. And the city council pretends like we've got other things to do. And so they concentrate a lot on the policing, right? So they've got us in jail and they're killing us in the fields. How is it that we can use your powerful play to maybe politicize, I guess is one word, but probably more than that, shame the city council into progressive representational action, you know? I don't know if you've done that somewhere else. But here it's, you know, we got to get elected, so we can't, you know, and that's the voting base. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are, because this is very political. This just hit us, bam, you know?
Right. So the whole play takes place in Sacramento, and that's actually where like the action would have to happen.
Yes.
I mean, the city council for this kind of stuff just isn't the right venue. But the good news is those are different representatives, right?
Yes.
There's a few different people. I don't know exactly who the rep would be, like right here or where you live, but there's a few people. Hannah Beth Jackson's out of Santa Barbara.
She's here. She's here.
Das Williams works on these things. Bill Monning, who works specifically on pesticide issues. So you could either talk to your rep,
Yes.
or you could talk to one of those people, because they are ultimately the bosses of the people who are making these decisions. I mean, one of the things that when we got really immersed in it, that was really interesting was that these are unilateral decisions made by one person. They're a governor-appointed director of pesticide regulation, and you can have mountains and mountains of science done by somebody like Hannah's character,
Yes.
but ultimately it's just one guy that signs off yes or no, and there's really little oversight of that. So I think talking to those people and making sure that there is some sort of oversight over those kind of decisions would be a really important part. The second one is they're making decisions that affect your health. They're making risk calculations, right?
Right.
But those aren't transparent at all.
Right.
Nobody, they have really dense reports that say a lot of things that manage to say nothing.
Right.
And there would be really human, simple ways of explaining these things to the people that live there. And so I think demanding some sort of education or outreach or transparency would be great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that, it was great. One of the things when I read the article back in November, one of the immediate responses was, damn, we need to popularize this. We need to translate this and distill it down to its simplest form so that even any middle school student, anyone could read it and understand the gravity of the situation, understand really the permanent aggression that the agricultural industry represents towards the people who live here in terms of the chemicals that are used. And so I think one of our main tasks as a community, and I'm kind of more addressing the audience here, would be to continue to bring attention to this. And I think one opportunity might be the Strawberry Festival coming this May, I believe, April, May, which tends to be, that's when it's Oxnard's biggest outdoor event. I think it's one of California's biggest outdoor events, I was reading somewhere.
I heard there's strawberry pizza.
Yeah, strawberry pizza, strawberry salsa, tamales, burgers probably, all kinds of stuff. But, a lot of people come in from out of town and they think Strawberry Fields Forever, Oxnard is the strawberry paradise, without knowing the real suffering the real blood that's in these strawberries, so to speak. Actually, a couple years ago, there was a huge fire, the Camarillo Springs fire, and one of the tanks of pesticides went up in flames, and the workers were forced to stay at the field and continue working, even though they were complaining about their, you know,
saying like we have to work to get it out there, because it's like, you know, we all have like friends like that are organizers or that do things like in LA, in the Bay Area, San Diego, the bigger places. But it's like, hey, what about our issues, man? Like people are dying like from this. It's like gentrification, yeah, it's a huge issue, and like all this other stuff is huge. But what about all those of us that live in Salinas and Coachella, in, you know, the San Joaquin Valley? Like it's like equally serious. But the thing is that we don't get the cameras don't come to us, you know, like the attention doesn't come to us, like, you know, we don't get, it's not hip to be from a small town, you know, it's not, you know, you don't have all this cool Morrissey or like, you know, like night, like you have in Rambo. It's like, it's not cool to come here and live here and come back to the community. So how do you think you can maybe even have other people say, hey, you guys need to, you know, when you have a platform like an urban area, like you guys need to talk about it, because then people hear about it. How do we work to do that? Like, cause I get frustrated when I see other friends like talking about these things on social media. I'm like, hey dude, you know, like we have a lot of stuff going on here, and like we don't have these structures that you have, and like resources that you sometimes have, where oh, if something happens, bam, everybody's there. The media, Univision, you know, these other like more collectives and all this. Like, how do we work to do that? It's nice.
I could say just as a member of the media, or knowing like how, you know, we tend to think about stories, or other people in the media tend to think about stories, is like if you're like covering the state, or if you're a state or national reporter, like local story, like people tend to shy away from local stories because they seem so small and narrow that like what does it represent, you know? And so if there's ways, I don't know, maybe to band together with people who do similar work in Salinas or the San Joaquin Valley or something, that to sort of prove that these are some kind of like bigger picture, more statewide issues or something like that, that would sort of almost raise the stakes in other reporters' eyes.
You know, we've done the show, we did it for 5 weeks in San Francisco, and then the plan was to go a week here and, you know, play it someplace else. And after every show, there's a talkback. We sit up and we invite people to ask questions and comment. And one thing that comes to mind with what you just said, it reminds me, is that it's become pretty evident that nobody really knows about the use of this fumigant stuff, you know, and this whole business of how, you know, the strawberries are an industry. We talked earlier today about how the playwright did mention that it's not just the people next to the fields or in the fields, but really this is a subject that affects everybody. And with that in mind, we come find out nobody really knows about it, you know? So we talk about our art, using our art to tell a story, to show how we feel. I see examples of that all over these walls. I see that in people's faces, you know. And yeah, you know, this is a great thing to do with our art, is to be involved in a project like this that tells a story that makes people think, you know, that's great. But we're still left with, what do we do now? Where do we go? You know, and then taking the fact, no matter where we go, people don't know about all this. So at this very second, I think the most important thing is that we're talking about it. We are putting the conversation on the table. You know, we're going away, learning something, having a little bit more information today, and that's going to stay with us.
Yeah.
You know, and just by us knowing about it and talking about it, that gets other people talking about it. And I think that's where we got to start.
Friend in the back.
Well, I'm a childcare provider for 18 years, and I'm working with families who've been working with jobs. It doesn't even get a training them, you know, how they can protect themselves. The only person who gets the training is the person who's gonna pass the test for the state.
Yeah.
Some mandatory test. So it's not enough to have the information. We need to step forward. And we have a lot of places where we can share this information. And that's something that parents and that people needs to know, because this is like a secret, you know. And we live in the country secret everywhere in every place.
A lot of
Because
secrets.
that makes, if they keep it secret, they're gonna make more money. If they keep it secret, they're gonna get more profit. If they keep it secret, people is being dying. And some of our people, my people, doesn't have even insurance. Because Obamacare passed a law, and I'm sorry because they're not supposed to be this about talking about politics, but still Obamacare with the new law, people who doesn't have immigration documentation, they have to pay way more than everybody else.
It's too bad.
Somebody else paid 200, the same person, same age, same issue, is gonna pay 500 because she doesn't have a social security. So we have a really, this situation about health issues. Have parents who came with a rash in their faces, on their bodies, and they don't have even money to go and check what happened. When I explain to them, when I talk about, well, maybe that's the pesticide, he doesn't even have money to go and check with the doctors. They have the kids with the same clothes they come in from work. They hold a baby, a 2-month baby, with the same clothes they have from work. It doesn't sometimes even wash their hands because they don't know, they're not aware of that. So now, a solution is we have that Child Development Educational Department, and each county, if you look for it, you're gonna find it. And you can propose to them to have this performance in the Department of Education, because they have the obligation to share with people. They have a health department in every county over the Department of Education. Every county has. So we should contact them, and we should share, we should talk to them how we can go more forward and have that information.
Thank you.
I have a question about language. I don't know if this was asked already, but for the cast, the differences between Spanish and English, and I saw it in San Francisco in English, I saw it here in English, and I saw it in Spanish here as well. And the Spanish version seemed the most authentic to me, but it was also the coarsest. The English language version seemed much more PG than the Spanish language version, and I wondered if that was conscious or if there was, if it was as.
Today we were told specifically to take out the language from the English version,
Okay.
and we didn't have enough preparation to do it in the Spanish version,
Yeah.
so we just left it.
Got it.
And
Okay.
hopefully nobody hates us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's beautifully done.
It is, yes.
Thank you.
I must say the format that you guys are using to perform, to bring these issues to the forefront of the communities and all that, it's quite powerful what you guys are doing. The way you're taking current events, current issues. I mean, I've experienced given it, but not like current issues and stuff that make me think, not on a mental, but like on a day-to-day basis, like what's going on, like I've lived here for what, like practically my whole life, and I know the strawberry fields were like down the street, but never once did I think what chemicals they were using, and like what like the health effects that might bring up on like the community as a whole. And I think it's also what you guys are doing, whether it being this issue or any other issue, just bringing it to life. Because I mean, I've been here, I've never like experienced anything like that, but it just makes me think like, wow, like if this was taken on the road or just any issue, and it was brought out in this format and it's brought out everywhere, like people would be more conscious of what's going on. Because we're right, we're like, we live in a lie, they don't tell us what's going on around here. So it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome format. Just plug and play, take it anywhere. You can leave the play with, like I said, high students, and they can take a run with it in any form, any current issue. Awesome. Thank you guys for being this for us.
Yes,
Awesome.
very nice.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. I came a little late for the play, but
Oh,
I don't
we'll
have
do it all
that-
over again.
I don't have that much experience with pesticide in human health, but I'm a biologist. I have experience with birds. And we have a museum in Camarillo where I invite you guys to go and see what DDT caused to the bird eggs. We almost lost a lot of species of birds because DDT, and because the eggs were so thin that the birds were crushing the eggs. And so I imagine that's the same thing that is happening to humans. So there were a lot of coalition of organizations and non-profit that also, at that time government would start fighting against the DDT. Finally, we were able to to ban the DDT because all those coalitions started with one person to 3, 4. We had only 22 California condors in the whole world because DDT. It was going down. Brown pelicans were going down. Listerns, Persian falcons. Now for the 22 California condor, we have 500. And so because everybody started working together. Instead of fighting the government, trying to join the government and bring them the groups, and so we all non-profits and Fish and Wildlife, Fish and Game, and volunteers in the community start working together, and so that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I think this is more a question for Andy, but you guys released a story today, a condensed version of the story from Reveal News for the BC Star. And then originally also it was published in The Guardian UK, which is also kind of an international press outlet. Are there any, and also I'll add, you released the Spanish language story, I think, sometime this week. Were there any chances that it would be published in other mass media, Spanish language press outlets, either a condensed version or the full version outside of just Reveal News? Because Reveal is kind of, it's a new thing, it's rebranded CIR, but arrangements like Univision, Telemundo, and Nada, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to do that for a while. There's still a chance, yes. The main problem was I did the whole translation. I had the translation done on the long story, and then when we started talking to people, they needed the short story, and then the time to just get it out before then was really short. So ideally, we'd get that short version that was in the BC Star today translated and get that out somewhere. So I think hopefully we'll see.
I have a personal question as a father, and generally I don't bring this up, but since you're a reporter, I'm sure that my father was poisoned to death. He worked in the greenhouses when orchids were the thing to give people corsages and so forth. And for 60 years, he and I didn't do it for 60 years, he did it for 60 years. He would actually take 6-inch pots of orchids, put them in a vat, and he did that to hundreds of thousands of plants, and he did that for 60 years. And he had respiratory, a lot of issues. This is my question to you. MS, multiple sclerosis, was once thought to be genetic. It is now almost universally thought to be environmental. And so what I heard in the presentation is that these people get together and they do these fancy little things to basically lie to the public and use this formula to determine what our lawsuit liability is going to be. How much money are we going to lose if this person dies, kind of thing. And so I'm wondering, has there been any study that you know of that has any kind of correlation with the pesticides? Because my son grew up in Ventura, so we're all over the place. Any idea?
So it's interesting that you say that, because the reason I got interested in this story and how we ended up here is learning about how Parkinson's disease was for a long time thought to just be genetic.
Yes.
And then it turns out it's environmental.
Right.
So there is some really interesting research that's been done recently around Parkinson's disease and other neurological diseases. So yes, it's something that happens. With these specific, with the fumigants in the strawberry industry, there's very little studies. I think that's like one of the other things that can happen, like positively sometime in the future, hopefully, is just more studies. There's really been only one done in Salinas, and that showed that pregnant women who were around the fields, not working in them necessarily, but just living around them, gave birth to much smaller children. You know, they had smaller fetal growth, smaller heads, everything like that. But we really don't know much about any of the other ones.
The other corollary is that every darn kid in Oxnard has asthma now. And once upon a time, we never had asthma, right? But every kid, both of our kids have asthma, my other kids have, everybody has asthma. And there's got to be some kind of correlation, we believe. And it's environmental now, so we need to study.
Right, I've heard doctors here that have told people that their kids have asthma because of both the dirt and pesticides and things that are happening in the fields, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so, wow.
Thank you.
Like a couple days ago, I was very worried about this rainstorm that we're having. And I came in and I said, what are we going to do? They said, you can do it here.
I guess you didn't have to shout,
Yeah.
What's the possibility of you guys coming in May? Is it May, Elliot, for the Strawberry Festival? And actually doing kind of guerrilla thing?
Give us some dates so we
Okay.
can clear our schedules.
Yes.
Only
And
if we
then
get strawberry
I'll work
fields.
there.
There you go. That's organic.
I would like to do it.
Okay.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And it's not just here. Watsonville
Yeah.
also has their own. My name is Sarita Ocon. We just wrapped up our presentations of Alicias Miracle, a new play by Octavio Solis. It was a collaboration between Tides Theater and the Center for Investigative Reporting, looking at the dark side of the strawberry industry. So looking at fumigants that are used on the strawberry fields, specifically here in Oxnard, as well as in Salinas and other agricultural communities throughout the state of California. The character that I play is the title role. Her name's Alicia, and the premise is she goes to Sacramento to meet with some of the representatives of the chemical companies to hopefully demand an answer and information as far as what's going on in her community. And how she's directly affected is she learns that her unborn child has a tumor that very much so could be correlated to the fumigants being used around her work, and her work happens to be Rio Mesa High School. So it's definitely a story that is at the heart of the community here in Oxnard and in Salinas. And as far as like learning more, we're not really sure yet where the play is going to travel to next. We definitely hope that we keep doing it, keep performing it. But if you want more information, the Center for Investigative Reporting has released a number of articles that kind of talk about the issues happening here in the community. They have like websites where you can go visit and learn ways to get involved in your community. They also have a new organization called Real News, where they broadcast the information, and all of this can be found online. And again, it is the Center for Investigative Reporting. They'll have all the information listed as far as ways to get involved in your community.
My name is Flora Gonzalez. They call me Tino. I'm an actor with this play that we brought to Oxnard today. It's called Alicias Miracle. It was written by a really good playwright who deserves a shout, Octavio Solis. You can Google his name. He's really good. And he whipped up this play. He wrote it in a matter of just a couple of weeks so he can meet our production schedule. He wrote this play based on articles put out by the CIR, Center for Investigative Reporting, who is now, what are they called now?
Reveal News.
Reveal News, they're changing their name. So we could find out more about this whole phenomenon, what our play is about, which is the use of fumigants in the production of strawberry farming and the effects that it has on people who work in the fields, who work with the strawberries, who apply the fumigants, and not really emphasized so much, but really important is how the fumigants really affects everyone, including people who live in the area, who live for miles around, who may not be the ones who work in the fields. People who think that they're removed from the situation are really affected too. So all this is really an important and timely subject for everyone. And for us to be here in Oxnard, it's very emotional for me, speaking for myself, hearing stories from people who are really affected and really enlightened by the message and the information in our project. So, people want to hear more about it, look up CIR, Center for Investigative Reporting. Their website will help you find out information about the use of fumigants and pesticides in the world.
In your neighborhood.
In your neighborhood.
You can even put in your zip code.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll show you what's used in your neighborhood. Yeah. So very important stuff.
All right. I am. Yeah. I am Rogelio Estrada Landaverde. I'm a performer.
All day long.
I didn't say anything while you were talking. Yeah. You know, you can keep up to date with what I'm doing on the Instagram at Papa Verde Beatbox, all one word, PAPAVERDE BEATBOXX.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Welch and I'm the Artistic Director of Storyworks, and also have a theater in San Francisco called Tides Theater. And Storyworks is a collaboration between Tides Theater and the Center for Investigative Reporting. And you can find out about our projects by going to tidestheater.org or revealnews.org.